Okay, so we've been talking tonight about losses and death, and the course reminds us that there isn't really death. That when our spirit comes into our body to give birth and have birth on this planet, that you can just imagine, if you just think about it, if you know nothing but pure love, and then you're in this body that's confining you, and you have to learn all these earthly ways and rules and everything, and you already know the truth, and you already are just pure love, but so many things happen throughout life that we begin to associate like all these attachments, and it's our need for these attachments that the ego says we can't live without, and so that interferes with how to love. And it is certainly an adjustment when we lose a dog that's been with us 98 human years, or we lose a marriage of 37 years, and then that person dies in a few years. All of these things are very difficult. I shared with all of you, I've recently had the honor of bringing my mom down from Gainesville and putting her in assisted living here, which is near my office. I'm so excited about that. I'm so thrilled to be a part of that. But that's because the Course in Miracles has given me that gift, because I didn't want to have much to do with her most of my adult life until I actually had these shifts in perception. And now I only focus on all the things good about her and all the things that I'm grateful for. And to actually see myself, change voices, because the voice of the ego said, I don't like her. I don't want to be around her. I don't have anything in common with her. I'm not mad at her. I just have no, and I just don't really want to be that involved. And then when I actually was able to understand and open up to real love, I wanted her around, and I enjoyed that she spent months with me in my home, and all the things that irritated me about her, I didn't see those things anymore. I saw a mom that loved her daughter beyond words, and that I could reciprocate that back. And it was just such a healing and beautiful experience. And when Skip and I went up and got her, we tried to get a medical transport. It just did not work out. And it was exhausting. And I was like, I just can't, I can't imagine us trying to do this. But anyhow, we did it, and everything fell into place. And Skip went and got the medical the van and all that, or the, whatever it was called, this giant SUV with all the seats, whatever it's called, I can't remember. But anyhow, we got her, and I was so happy to be bringing, that we were bringing her home, and that I could watch her and facilitate and not have to worry about what time she was arriving, and strangers and all that, and how anybody was driving, and then to get her settled in to her facility. And yes, it was a lot to deal with everything else going on, and working, and we're both very busy, but it was an honor and a blessing. But it would not have been before, because we all have these two voices, and one voice is all about me and what's convenient for me, and what am I getting out of it, and what do I want, and what if it's a problem, and what if she dies? Well, she's 90, and what if blah 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 blah, and how am I going to do that, and how am I going to find out the right place, and how am I going to do this and that and that. And then the other voice is like, this is all going to work out just fine. It's not complicated, because you only take it one little bit at a time, and then everything falls into place. And by sharing, my difficulties with a couple of people, they were connecting me with other people, and everything did fall into place. And I'm still learning so much about, her rights and privileges, and all of this. I think a lot of you have sent me some really nice responses to my discussion about going to the VA. It wasn't so much about the VA, it was about the people there and the unity I felt with the people there, which was a beautiful experience. But anyhow, there's just been one miracle after the next. And this is something that in the past would have been extremely stressful. And it's not, because I'm coming from love and not from that ego. And we all have these opportunities all the time when we are taxed with people. And those are on purpose. Those aren't accidental. We choose these partnerships. We choose these relationships. And I would imagine even before we get here, so that we can evolve spiritually and we can choose which voice we want to listen to. We can listen to the voice of criticism and separation and anger and all the things that those people have done to hurt us. Or we can use all of those experiences with that individual to expand and to grow spiritually. And by that, I mean to use that voice where we can learn how to forgive. Because we've all made mistakes, we've all hurt other people. And so to hold on to grievances really is holding on to our own imperfections, rather than saying, we're just doing the best we can in these bodies with all these limitations. And it's a matter of, having these experiences to tap deeper and deeper and deeper into the well of love, because we all are love. That's really all we are. Everything else is just a bunch of commotion and a bunch of nonsense that we get tuned into. Now, that doesn't mean that when someone is attacking us, that we transcend the attack and we are so holy that we're not responding to it. But it means that we don't get pulled into their vortex. It means we stand in the place of love. The ego will want to engage and really tell them what we think, but the Holy Spirit will give us the right kind of guidance and the right words to address those situations. And sometimes we have to detach with love. We have to set those kinds of boundaries where we say, this is enough, no more. I'm not for you to unload on like that. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me. You can tell me how you feel. I care about it. I want to know, and I want to work it out with you, but no unloading, no attacking. That is not the place for any type of resolution or any type of kind and loving problem solving. And the Course in Miracles and the Holy Spirit are all about resolving things from the place of love. So we're never the victim, as the Course says. I'm not a victim. People may try to put me in that role, but we have to co-sign being in that role. So when we are internalizing someone else's toxic behavior, we are co-signing. And so it doesn't mean that, you're going to be impenetrable. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, when someone you love is attacking you, of course it's going to hurt, but we allow the Holy Spirit to help us perceive it differently. The Course says every attack is a cry for love. And so we come from love to tell the person attacking is not going to get you that. We can both come at this problem or this issue from a place of love. And that's the invitation. And if someone wants to, they will. And if they don't want to, they won't. In either case, you are standing in that place of love and you are okay with yourself no matter what. Can't make someone want to resolve something from a place of love. And some people are more comfortable in their drama and in their guilt and in their turmoil. They're just not ready to get into a better place. But that doesn't mean you have to co-sign that type of engagement. That's why, the beauty of like 12 steps of Al-Anon, we detach, but we do it with love and with clarity. We don't abandon relationships, but we detach with that type of clarity. And we ask the Holy Spirit to give us the right words of how to detach. We heard someone share earlier that after a 37-year marriage, they were told that, the marriage was over. It doesn't sound like there was any conversation. And so what do you say to that except, okay. Now, maybe the marriage was over and that's why there was nothing else to say. I don't know. But the Holy Spirit gives us the tools to say, this marriage isn't working for me, and I would like to work at it, or to try and find a way that we can enjoy the rest of our lives from the place of love. But you can't make someone want to be there. Some people just are not, even though we're all born perfect and in a spiritual enlightenment, some people do not want to reconnect to that light, and we can't make them. And unfortunately, that is when people, the mind will, the body will perceive that it's attacked, and I will die to show you what you've done to me. And so the Course teaches us that. That's the ego, that when we create these types of things, there is an underlying wish, underlying wish to show someone, it's all a form of suicide according to the Course, and to show you what you've done to me, which is really, really unfortunate, because the body's just responding to what you have decided to do, and you cannot lay that on anybody else. No one can make anyone in that state. You have, people will put people in pain for sure, but we have to, as I keep repeating, we have to co-sign to stay in those toxic situations. And so sometimes people think, because the ego is really tricky, if I'm more loving, if I'm smarter, if I'm this, if I'm that, then this person will change. And, if I'm a better mom, if I'm a better partner, if I'm a better friend, I need to keep looking at myself. Well, of course, all of that is important, but it takes two. It takes two for things to work. And so sometimes we have to accept that it's not working, that, as the Course teaches us, some relationships are for a season, some are for a reason, and some are for a period of time. I would say all relationships are for all of those things. We just don't know what the reason is often until we've gotten far enough away from the transition to understand the reason. Sometimes we have to let go. We wanted it to last longer or shorter, and we have to go down the road before we can look back and understand, and why they lasted, what was the reason, what was the season, and what the time meant. The ego is always going to trick you into thinking that you could have done something different. And it's really wonderful to do those spiritual checklists and to grow from the experience, because there's always something you could have done different. But what you can't do different is make somebody want to do the right thing. You can inspire someone by invitation, by asking them to engage in a healing process with you, whether that's one-on-one or getting the assistance of a spiritual guide or a therapist. But like I said, not everybody wants to go there. And so it's not your fault if they don't. You can only extend that invitation. So if someone is not wanting to come from love, you can't make them want to do that. The Course teaches us that love will find itself. So the most important thing that we ever do in any relationship is be the love that we want to be. And of course, we're going to often go through these turmoils to get to that point, because we are human. And when there is a lot of drama going on, when there's a lot of transitional stuff going on, it often will bring up a lot of truth and unwanted truth. And it will bring up all kinds of conflicts. So we have to kind of embrace those and process them, and just zip it up until we get those loving messages and the right words of how to address situations. And we feel that's when I keep telling you, love is an action word. It's not a feeling. So when we act from the place of love, whether we feel it or not, we act in the loving way, and we embrace whatever's coming our way. And then we act by not saying until we're clear, until we're able to offer the peace offering, and to the opportunity to come up with a solution that's a win-win solution. That's when the egos are out of the way and both people are coming from their spiritual side. That's when people feel good, and then the relationship can be preserved regardless of what has gone on to that point. They can talk about it, they can heal it, and they can go forward with a deeper connection. But again, it takes two people to do that. And there is no reason for anyone to feel guilty when you offer that and the other person doesn't want it. That's just because they want to keep you in the role of you're wrong, they're right, and you are the hostage of that. And the ego will latch onto that. The ego will say, oh, if only I would have done this, or if only I would have done that, or how does this look to other people that, my own so-and-so, my best friend or my spouse or my own child, I can't work it out with them. Well, who cares? But the ego will use all of that. You're supposed to be so perfect, and you're supposed to do this, and you're supposed to do that. And it's that codependency that the ego festers and dwells on, and really radiates all this energy around, like, to keep you engaged in those toxic situations. So we always want to remember that we always have those two voices. And even though it may not seem it's the voice of fear, it's coming across like if you were more loving, this person wouldn't be mad at you. Or if you were more loving, that you could get this situation to work out. No, you can only offer love, and love will find itself and it will come to you. But that's all that you can do. And then if it can't work out, be the love for yourself and be the love for other people who do want it and are capable of having those types of relationships with you. So this is really important. And again and again and again, I'm going to be talking about the two voices, the voice of the ego. It will keep you stuck. It will keep you trapped. It's always the voice that will talk you into doing the next wrong thing and then beat you up the minute you do it. I hear it over and over and over again in my office. I knew I shouldn't have done this. There was a part of me that said, why are you doing that? You don't have to do it, but I want to do it. I really want to. And so I do it, and then I feel horrible. Why do you feel horrible? Because the same voice that talked you into doing the wrong thing is the exact voice that turns around and beats you up for doing it. So when we listen to that smaller, kinder, more loving voice, oh, someone was trying to get back in. When we listen to that kinder, more loving voice, then we are able to, it doesn't feel as right, because don't forget, the ego is the convincer and it feels like the right thing to say and do. Listening to the voice of love doesn't feel as right, but it's the act of love. We choose to do the right thing, and then that feeling comes. And the more we do that, the more we fill up with that self-love, with that self-esteem, and then all that other stuff that tempted us in the wrong direction, it's just something that bogs us down now. We can't be bothered with it. And, it's just something we used to do, and we don't have time for it anymore, whether it's a bad relationship with a person, with romance, with drugs, with whatever. It doesn't matter. It just cannot be bothered with it anymore. It's just too much trouble because we're too busy enjoying the fruits of love. So that's it for my lecture tonight. Thank you so much for all of you being here, and we will be posting this on YouTube. And so if you fell off the screen like a couple of people did, or if you got distracted or whatever, we will be posting it. We'll be on tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Also, if you have any questions, we're going to continue with the discussion. And also, your input's very important.
Well, you were dead on speaking to me, basically with my daughter, as we talked about yesterday. And I haven't spoken with her yet. And for those of you that don't know the situation, my daughter attacked me on Sunday verbally on the phone because I was.
Remind everybody that we are still being recorded, and Tom sent a text message that this will be posted public. So I just want to remind everybody of that in your shares.
I don't care. Anyway, I have been trying to facilitate. I have a stepdaughter and I have 2 children of my own, grown children of my own, and I've been trying to facilitate getting my stepdaughter reconnected back with my 2 kids. And because of their father, who is having a health issue right now and has been having a health issue for some time, and my stepdaughter's having a really difficult time with that. And I sent an email to try to facilitate them, 3 of them talking together with my stepdaughter's um, telephone number, who lives in another state as my son and my daughter do. And my daughter just verbally went off on me about, why are you trying to get involved? This is, dad would not want you involved. You're divorced from dad, and this and that and the other. And I just explained to her that this all came from my stepdaughter talking to me and trying to help me, or help her to understand what to do, since she's living in the same city as her dad. So this was so dead on for me, because I haven't spoken to her. She did call me yesterday and I did not take her phone call. And if she called me today, I would probably take her phone call now, because I think that I can address the situation in a better understanding after what you just spoke on, and how to completely come from love, even though she continues to attack me when I don't do what she wants me to do, and blame me for things that happened in her childhood and this and that and the other. So, thank you for this talk, because it was dead on as to something that I needed to hear, outside of you and I discussing it in your office.
Yeah, that's really
Because
important. And that's a distinction. Do our children want to process the past in a healthy way, in a way that will promote healing and forgiveness? Or do they want to hold it over our heads for an indefinite period of time where we are held hostage to the past? And as the Course in Miracles says, we don't really remember anything accurately. So neither person is going to be right or wrong. There'll be pieces of right and wrong in both people's memories. And so it's useless to try and defend ourselves. But the Course gives us the opportunity to talk about things from the place of love, and to say, this was my experience. It may not be accurate, and I'm probably not even upset for the reason that I think, but let's talk about it so we can put it to rest. That's the invitation. Whether or not the person wants to do it will tell you how sincere they are about their own spiritual growth, and how serious they are about valuing the relationship.
exactly.
There's
And
only one purpose of any relationship, and that's to share and receive love. So if that's not the container in which both people are willing to place the past for the purpose of talking about and healing it and forgiveness, then there's no point in revisiting it and rebanging the drum over and over again as a parent or a child. And we always can process our feelings about our past in other places. It doesn't have to be with the person.
well,
I was able to
as
process my feelings with my mom, but we did all the healing we needed to do because I did it within myself.
and I think I've done all the healing, but apparently she hasn't done all the healing. So I just need to be a little more patient with her, as far as
also setting
understanding.
boundaries about getting dumped on.
Right. And I don't, she tends to come out of left field on me when I'm not expecting it. So
You
I
have the
want her.
tools to deal. You have the tools, and you can take
I
that
do.
on, or you can say, when you're ready to discuss this from the place of love, we'll talk about it. But that's it for now.
But thank you. That was very helpful to hear and continue to understand how I need to react to her when I choose to take her phone call.
Thank you,
Donna,
Paula.
this might be one of my favorite talks from you. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. But this was just packed with so much, just a wonderful example. The mother-daughter relationship is a tricky one to begin with. And that you've healed that, and you share that with us, so openly, and it's a miracle that you've been able to heal that relationship, and you've moved her down with you, and I'm so happy to hear that, and it's inspiring. The big nugget I'm taking away from tonight's talk is that love is an act, because I beat myself up because of what goes on in my head. And I think, how can I still be having, they're like savage thoughts that I have in my head. Like, and it hurts me. It makes me feel guilty. And I remember being in one of your classes years ago, we talked about when someone feels guilty, they get angry at the person about whom they're feeling guilty. So it's really a cluster. And and the Course says that guilt is the ultimate problem, our separation from God, and that we've forgotten who we are. And it helped me a lot tonight to hear you say, love is an act, and I can forgive myself for these fearful, angry, guilty thoughts that I have. And I've learned to cope with them better. I can surrender them to Holy Spirit. I'm frustrated about how many I still have. That I still have all this mess going on still.
Well, those are wounds that are trying to heal.
Yeah. They sure are. They're festering. That being said, I'm happier than I've ever been. It's progress, not perfection. And I do understand that. But it surprises me how annoyed and frustrated I can still get, and impatient. And so it helped me so much tonight to hear you say, just consult with Holy Spirit, and then do the right thing. Do what you hear that voice tell you to do. And that voice has told me to ask for forgiveness, to apologize when I really felt like the other person was wrong. And I did it, and it was miraculous for all parties involved, which is what the Holy Spirit does. So thank you. It was really helpful tonight. I'll be watching this again for sure.
Thank you, Barbie. Sometimes people go into deep thought. Ellen, you want to share anything? Your mic is off.
It's not now.
It's nice to see you. We missed you too.
I miss you guys too. And I can't even remember why I wasn't here, but I knew. I think once I actually forgot, and the other time I had something that was important. Well, of course, when you spoke tonight, I thought you were speaking directly to me. And but my thing is, I always have something with my husband, because he's not in the program. He's got his issues. And I want what I want. You know, I wish he would be on the journey with me. And but things are getting better. But I did something. It was amazing. You know, it got to a point where every time I would confront him, he doesn't like to be confronted at all. That is, he gets up and walks away. His eyebrows get crossed, and I just don't know how to deal. You know, I'll even wait. I'll do what you say, Donna. I wait, and I try to have it from a loving place. And God forbid I should look like I'm doing anything therapeutic. He'd really go nuts. You know, like, oh, we're going through this again. But okay, so I thought about it, and I made it up a paper a little bit bigger than an index card. And the biggest problem I have with my husband is the way he speaks to me sometimes. And I know it comes from his family, and I know I need to be understanding and compassionate, but I also don't want to be a doormat. So I wrote on this paper, please be kind. And every time he would like start to speak to me in that way that made me feel uncomfortable, I'd hold up the paper. And then it would be just like it worked like a charm, except that what happened was he started reaching for the paper. And I realized that I was speaking to him in the same manner I didn't want to be spoken to. And then we would just laugh, and it really worked so well in the beginning. So what I'm bringing about is I don't want to give up my try to have him for our journeys to be together. I won't say for him to come to my journey, but at least to be together, because I don't want to. I know that. But I just wonder if part of that is because I'm the problem too. And that's difficult. Then what do you do then? Because it's both of you having the issues, and I know he loves me, and I know I love him, and I want it to work. I don't want to just do what I hear you saying you need to do if it just won't work. And how do I know whether it will or won't work?
Right. Well, you'll know by the voice, you know, whether you're coming from fear, whether you're coming from love, but that's such a great example. Holding up the sign and saying, be kind. Is that what it said? Yes.
Please be kind, just
Yes.
like that.
Right. And if you guys keep doing that, you'll be able to talk. Yeah, I see this all the time in my office. Like they'll be at each other. You do this and you do this and you do this. And I'm like, well, what do you want him to do? Or what do you want her to do? And there's like dead silence. You know, because people, it's so much easier to come from the ego and attack and blame rather than I'd like you to do X, Y, or Z. You know, we are feeling so unworthy in ourselves that we don't ask for what we would like. We just don't. We're not vulnerable. We don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and say how we feel about things or what we would like to have happen. Or to even set some boundaries. So that sign is perfect. It's perfect because it's setting a boundary and it's asking for what you want. So keep doing it.
I looked for it today. Couldn't find it.
And you said,
yeah, it
I'm
really
sharing
helps.
this journey with you. Have you told him that?
Yes,
Okay.
I have
Okay.
often. Yes,
Okay.
and it is getting better. It takes a long time sometimes, doesn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
so I know I don't want to just kick it out, but I don't want to be a doormat.
Right.
And
It does
I'm
take
seeing
time.
also that I'm not doing it to him. That's the whole.
That's the miracle.
Mhm.
That you're loving yourself and him enough to reflect on your own behavior.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it does take time. It was
Mhm.
funny that, it was like, one of my family members was telling me today, but I told him 100 times and he asked me what to do and I tell him and then he doesn't listen. I said, you would never be a therapist. Sometimes it takes 20 years before someone hears what you say. It took me that long before I was hearing. I thought I was hearing, I thought I was understanding, but I really wasn't getting it at all. So, patience and love and tolerance. Yes.
Thank you, Donna.
But no attacking, that come from love. That sign is perfect. We can all kind of draw that in our own mind. Please be kind.
We don't need
I
to
like-
sign
Whatever
it.
you want to
All we
say.
do is hold our hands up and we know what we mean. Yeah, we don't need it. We just go
Say
like
whatever
that.
you want to say, but please be kind about it.
Right.
And when
I
we're
like
not
what-
kind to say, acknowledge it. That wasn't nice of me. I'm sorry I came out that way.
What?
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
It's how you say it.
And
Thank you.
any burning desires before we finish? Okay, we have a new
I-
person on.
Yes,
And,
I just wanted to say next week I will not be here. I will be on the Big Bird to Seattle, but the week after that I'll be in there.
Okay, thank you for letting us know, Kim.
Yeah.
And,
And I won't be here either.
okay. We have a new person here tonight. Thank you for joining. We start at 6, so we meet every week, and thank you for joining us. And also, Tom said that Madeline checked on Mary, and he didn't say anything about her condition, but she is alive. I asked her to tell her we love her, and she asked me to call again, so I'll do that. So we'll know something soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you guys
Yeah.
have a beautiful week. I love all of you. Have a
Love you
great,
too.
miraculous week, and see you next week or 2
Yeah.
weeks from now, depending on your
Yeah.
schedule.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
Donna.
much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Donna.
Bye.
Hi, Skip.
Bye.
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 Love you all.
Love you
Yeah,
too.
Me too.
Bye.